June, another heavy month in the year that is 2020. Here are some of the trends and stories that were big on social media in the month of June. George Floyd and the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests. The passing of George Floyd as a result of police brutality on May 25th in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the protests that followed dominated much of the news in the month of June. The demise of the unarmed 46-year-old generated racial tensions and debates the world over and was characterized by a number of events throughout June. The following are some of the key moments in the timeline. On May 25th, George Floyd passed on after being pinned to the ground with a knee to his neck by Officer Derek Chauvin for almost 9 minutes. On May 26th, protests began in Minneapolis as hundreds took to the streets. The 4 officers involved in the incident were also fired. On May 27th, protests spread to other states and cities in America, including Memphis, Tennessee, California, and Kentucky, where 26-year-old Breonna Taylor was slain by police months earlier. On May 28th, the National Guard was deployed to Minneapolis as a state of emergency was declared. Protests spread throughout America as demands grew for charges to be brought against the 4 officers involved. On May 29th, Officer Derek Chauvin was charged and President Trump was rushed to the White House bunker as hundreds of protesters gathered outside the White House. On June 1st, anti-racism solidarity protests started growing around the world in countries including the UK, New Zealand, Canada, and Brazil. On June 3rd, the 3 other officers involved in George Floyd's death were also leveled with criminal charges. On June 5th, vigils held in several major cities for Breonna Taylor, who would have turned 27 years old. Calls for the arrest of the Louisville officers involved in her demise months earlier increased amidst the Black Lives Matter protests. On June 7th, protesters in America and other parts of the world took down Confederate statues and other symbolic monuments that honored racism and slave traders. On June 8th, thousands of mourners attended Floyd's lying-in state in Houston, Texas, and in Washington, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and 24 other Senate Democrats knelt in silence in the U.S. Congress to pay tribute to George Floyd. On June 9th, a funeral service for George Floyd held in Houston, Texas, as friends, family, and dignitaries paid their final respects. The Black Lives Matter movement continues to seek to bring an end to racism and police brutality while also seeking justice for its victims. Dbanj accused of rape and harassment. Music superstar Dbanj trended a few times in June, but besides him celebrating his 40th birthday on the 9th, it wasn't for the best reasons. Amidst numerous revelations by the public about incidents of rape involving different public figures in the wake of the rape and killings of women in the country in recent weeks, Sheitan Baba Tayo came out to say that she was raped by Dbanj on New Year's Eve in 2018. The accusation was initially met with silence, but after the alleged victim demanded an apology from the star through her lawyers, Dbanj said in a post on Instagram on the 16th that the accusations were false and he has handed the matter to his legal team while the police will also investigate the case. The story took a very disturbing turn the following week, however, when news came out that the alleged victim, Ms. Sheitan, had been arrested by the police, kept with criminals, and was denied access to friends and family. It was also reported that she was harassed and detained as well, even after leaving police custody, and her phone was taken from her and used to promote Dbanj's latest project, all in an attempt to either get her to change her story or to cover it up altogether. Towards the end of the month, Dbanj posted a video of himself dancing to his song Majek with the caption "Innocent until proven guilty. Stop social media trial." The video has since been taken down. Sheitan also put out a press release regarding her arrest and the events surrounding it. The case greatly angered Nigerians as it showed another incident where people with money and power can freely intimidate, harass, and oppress those without it in this country. Hushpuppi arrested by Interpol for COVID-19 relief fraud. Socialite and internet celebrity Raymond Igbalode, also known as Hushpuppi, was arrested by Interpol in Dubai over alleged fraud charges relating to COVID-19 relief funds. Hushpuppi and an associate of his, one Mr. Woodbury, were apprehended for dubiously siphoning funds meant to be dispersed to unemployed people and people who lost their sources of livelihood as a result of the ongoing pandemic. Reports have it that the looted funds are in the millions of dollars. Interpol is also on the trail of other accomplices in the alleged fraud. Hushpuppi could be extradited to Nigeria to face charges according to Nigeria's Commissioner of Police Garba Umar, who says some of the offenses were committed here in Nigeria, so he would need to answer for them. The EFCC also said through a spokesman that it's engaging with the FBI to trace Hushpuppi's victims as well as his accomplices. A video by Dubai police was released showing the arrest of Hushpuppi and his associates. In the sting operation tagged Operation Fox Hunt 2, several phones and external drives were recovered from the suspects as Dubai police revealed they'd been watching Hushpuppi for several months and his fraudulent activities had affected almost 2 million people. Hushpuppi is known on social media for his reckless display of wealth, and he's often pictured on Instagram purchasing and showcasing luxury brands and living in opulence in Dubai. The 32-year-old claims to be a real estate developer, but for years people have questioned the sources of his wealth and his flamboyant lifestyle. Majek passes on in New York. Nigerian music legend Majek Fashek, popularly known as Majek, passed on June 2nd. The well-respected musician died in his sleep in New York, according to his manager. Nigerians and reggae lovers the world over mourned the star and paid tribute to him in different ways. Majek rose to fame in the late 1980s and 1990s and is best known for his classics like Send Down the Rain and So Long, Too Long. The singer, who said Bob Marley was a major influence on his music and style, sang songs that carried strong political and Pan-African messages that reflected the trials and challenges being experienced around Africa. His music gained him international acclaim and appeal, having performed on several international stages like Dave Letterman's Late Night Show in 1992. He also worked with many high-profile musicians like Tracy Chapman and Jimmy Cliff. In the mid-2000s, there were reports that Majek was struggling for his health, and in 2015, he spent time in a drug rehabilitation center in Abuja. Reports say that the star had been ill for some time, but the cause of his death is unclear. He was 57 years old. The Premier League returns amidst strict safety rules. Football fans got a bit of good news in June when the EPL returned on June 17th after a 100-day break amid the ongoing pandemic. After weeks of addressing several modalities relating to the health and safety of players and everyone involved in the holding of matches during the 3-month period, Project Restart came to life. A total of 64 live games will be played this season, but under strict measures to avoid the spread of COVID-19. Some of the league's stringent measures include all players and team staff will continue to be tested twice a week. Players are to maintain social distancing and keep touching to a minimum outside of normal match play. Players and coaching staff are advised to keep their distance from referees. Players may be split over more than one dressing room and will be advised to use hand sanitizer before and after matches and avoid spitting and nose clearing during matches. Stadiums will also be split into 3 safety zones and will hold around 300 people at a time. With these and dozens of other measures put in place, it's the hope that players, officials, and fans will have an entertaining and safe Premier League season this year. Simi and Adekunle Gold welcomed their baby girl. At the beginning of the month, Simi and Adekunle Gold added a member to their family with the arrival of their daughter Adejare. Simi actually had the baby on Saturday, May 30th, but they waited until June 7th to go public with the news by sharing a picture of Adekunle carrying their new baby girl. In her caption, Simi wrote, Adejare Kosoko. It's like free falling. This unending, soul-snatching, infinite, mind-boggling love. Deja, my baby girl, I got you. We got you, I promise. Now and forever, so help me God. The couple has been abroad for months in anticipation of the arrival of their first child, but they've also been hard at work. Simi released and had been promoting Duduke, a ballad about her unborn child that took on a life of its own with the viral Duduke challenge, as well as the hit song by Ladipo, which she featured on, titled Know You. Adekunle Gold also released his new song Something Different and appears to be writing and recording while away. Talk about a productive and multitasking family. It feels like it was just yesterday when we were congratulating them on their wedding last January. Anyway, congratulations to the couple on the arrival of Adejare, their AG baby. Naira Marley flouts lockdown rules in Abuja. Naira Marley and BB Naija star Kim Oprah trended big in June, but not for the reason you might be thinking of. The pair aren't romantically involved, at least not that we know of. Rather, on June 13th, the singer held a concert at Jabi Lake Mall, Abuja, which was hosted by Kim Oprah. The concert was meant to be a drive-in concert so as to adhere to the social distancing orders, but it seems the concert's attendees didn't get the memo, as everyone ended up being in close proximity of one another like in a regular concert. The event not only violated the federal government's orders on social distancing, but it also violated the ban on interstate travel. Marley and his entourage flew in a private jet from ExecuJet from Lagos to Abuja and back. Once the videos of the concert went viral on social media, government authorities suddenly swung into action after the fact, and questions arose as to how such a public gathering could hold under their noses in the nation's capital amidst a curfew, social distancing orders, and travel restrictions. This wasn't the first time that the singer was involved in flouting social distancing orders. If you recall, he had a case back in April as one of the attendees of Funke Akindele's husband's birthday party. In a reaction to the defiance of government orders, the Minister of Aviation announced the suspension of ExecuJet indefinitely for falsification of information. The company said in its paperwork that it was conveying a serving judge and not entertainers. The minister said that the flight crew would also be punished. Jabi Lake Mall, the venue of the concert, was also sealed up for hosting the illegal event. The CEO of ExecuJet on June 15th issued an apology to the Ministry of Aviation explaining the mix-up, saying that he thought the flight was being chartered by serving minister and former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola and his associates, and not a bunch of unserious people as he called them. Naira Marley didn't take the label lightly, and he said he no longer would be making use of ExecuJet's services. Ibidunni Ighodalo passes on. The Nigerian Christian community was thrown into mourning in mid-June with the news of the passing of Ibidun Ighodalo, the wife of Trinity House pastor, Pastor Itwa Ighodalo. She passed away in the early hours of Sunday, June 14th in Port Harcourt from a suspected heart attack. She was also mourned greatly by the event management community because she was the founder of the popular event planning firm Elizabeth R. Events. She was also the founder of the Ibidunni Ighodalo Foundation, a non-profit organization created to raise awareness about infertility. The adored 39-year-old ex-beauty queen was planning to celebrate her 40th birthday on July 19th. Various friends and well-wishers, including the governor of Lagos State, visited Pastor Ighodalo to pay their respects and commiserate with the family. On Saturday, June 20th, after a touching ceremony, Ibidun Ighodalo was laid to rest at Vaults and Gardens Cemetery in Lagos. She was survived by her husband and 2 children. Ace OAP Dan Foster passes on. Veteran on-air personality Dan Foster passed away on Wednesday, June 17th. The broadcaster, fondly referred to as the Big Dog, was receiving treatment for COVID-19 at a medical facility in Lagos at the time of his death. His wife, Lovina, confirmed to Channels TV that he had tested positive for COVID-19 the day before his demise. Dan Foster had a versatile career in Nigerian broadcasting. He started at Cool FM in 2000, where he worked for 9 years before moving to Inspiration FM, then to City FM, then to Classic FM. Dan Foster was known and loved for his upbeat personality, his charisma, his positivity and optimism, and for hosting iconic radio shows and segments like Praise Jam. Dan was also known for being one of the judges on Idols West Africa and Nigeria's Got Talent. Tributes poured in from friends and co-workers following his passing as they shared stories of their experiences with Dan using the hashtag #DearDanFoster. Dotun from Cool FM tweeted that Dan Foster gave him the energy for his job. Toke Makinwa tweeted, "Rest in power, Dan Foster." MI tweeted, "Dan Foster, you played your part with grace and excellence. We will not forget you." Ayo Maku said in a tweet, "The The big dog Dan Foster will never be forgotten in the history of broadcasting here in Nigeria. R.I.P. Dan Foster was survived by his son Joshua from his previous marriage and his wife Lovina and their 3 children. He will be greatly missed and remembered fondly.